Hello loves, today I'm gonna show you guys a detailed video about what a typical night shift routine, well, somewhat typical night shift routine looks like for me working on my telemetry unit. Before I get started, make sure you are subscribed, thumbs this video if you love it, and let me know about any questions you have down below. I did my best to make sure I thoroughly recorded things that I can without violating HIPAA, and yeah. So first thing I do after I clock in is go to the huddle room. This is also our break room. This is where we get our assignments. We talk about important issues, and yeah, but with the whole COVID pandemic, we don't have to do that anymore. So we just take our PPE and go out to get a report on the floor. So I love the fact that my floor uses this report sheet. It makes everything more organized and, straightforward when you're giving a report or getting a report from your nurse. And this report, each patient has one, and it just covers important information about why they're here, if they're on tele, their vital signs, like important things like their IV access, their plan of care, skin issues, all the stuff you see on there. We try to fill it out as much as we can while giving a report to the next nurse. Like I said earlier, I work in a telemetry unit, so I'm giving my pager for the night. I make sure I wipe it down, then I go ahead to start wiping down my cowl. Computer on wheels. These are computers we take into patient rooms when we give meds or give treatments and stuff like that. Then I go ahead to wipe down my computer station. The good thing about night shift is that we're lucky enough to have computers to ourselves because there are less people on the nurses station. The doctors are not really on the floor during night shift, so we're lucky to be able to have our own workspace. Oh my God, thinking back to when I was on day shift for a quick minute, whenever I would go back to my computer, somebody will always be there, either a doctor, PT, OT, social worker, charting, something. So I had to rely on my cowl for the most part with day shift. But night shift, you get best of both worlds. So I'm usually done report around 7:30-ish. Let me just add that there because every day is different. And after I'm done, I go check on my patient, do a quick assessment, and then around 8 p.m. is when I start looking at my patient orders, comparing it to the report the previous nurse gave me, also looking at my patient's medications for the night, and finally making my personalized plan for the night. I love doing this because it keeps me really organized. My floor can get really busy because we're a telemetry observation floor. So we get a high turnaround, frequent admissions, transfers, discharges. So I like to keep this paper with me all night to keep me on top of everything and make sure I do things at the right time. So I section them out by room numbers. I write down who's on telemetry monitoring, what time I need to do the tele readings, who's on COVID isolation, what time finger sticks need to be done, what time vital signs need to be done, what time labs need to be done, what time they have medications due. As you guys can see, I write down the routes of the medication. I do this because this helps me know what to bring into the patient's room. For example, a patient with G-tube feeding, IV meds, IM injection, it lets me know what kind of needle to bring, what kind of things to bring into the patient's room, IV pole, vital signs machine for patients taking BP medication. If you see the part where I put BP, I put it because certain patients on BP medication need their vital signs done within that hour before you give the medication. So just knowing that helps me stay on track and just have everything ready before I go into the patient room. And then the next thing I do is I start charting. Guys, charting is so time consuming. One thing about nursing is that you chart about everything. Oh my gosh, what the urine looks like, if they pooped yesterday, anything, head to toe assessment, their pain, where it is, how it's radiating, respiratory, cardiac issues, GI, their wounds, the measurements, what it looks like. Oh my God, y'all, I can go on and on. Education, care plans, just everything, and honestly, charting is kind of what I dislike about nursing. It's so time consuming for me, and honestly I like to get a head start right now, and if I can get 2 patients out the way before I give meds, that's good. Then I continue later on. It's really hard sometimes to stay put charting because a lot of distractions around. Sometimes a patient or bed alarm could be going off. You have to run there, make sure they don't fall. Call bells, patient want to call you. When we used to have visitors, because of this pandemic, we don't have visitors anymore. But when we used to have visitors, family members wanted to ask you questions, test people calling you to actually just bring your patient downstairs for a CT scan or X-ray, whatever. So yeah, it's a lot of distractions. So you just have to find time when you can. So this is my med room. I'm about to pull my nighttime meds for my patients. That's where we get our syringes, our needles, and stuff like that we need. And that's the med fridge right there, the waste bin and some miscellaneous stuff. I like to organize my baggies, med baggies with my room numbers, and then I start pulling my medication. At our facility, we use the Omnicell, and you use your fingerprint to access it, and then you start pulling your medications. And yeah. So before I leave, I like to make sure I stock up on flushes. You can never go wrong with too many flushes. You always need them. They come in handy so much. So right here, I'm just calling pharmacy because there's a medication they're not stocked in the Omnicell. So sometimes some medications have to come special packaged from pharmacy. And all I'm doing right now is just calling them to go ahead and send my patient's 10 p.m. medication so I can give it to them. So before I begin administering nighttime medication, I'm going to go get two of my patients some food. They requested for it earlier. And because the kitchen is closed at 6 p.m., we take the patient stickers to this marketplace area and get them some sandwich boxes. And now I can finally start giving out meds. So because of this whole COVID pandemic, we have to wear an N95 mask and a face shield to every patient's room when administering care, regardless of if they are COVID positive or not. Today's shift, I only have one COVID positive patient. So for those COVID positive patient and patient under investigation, the PUI patients, we go ahead and wear the full-on PPE with the gown and everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and start giving my medication. The time is around 9:30-ish. So I'm done giving meds at approximately 10:42 p.m. And I could have been done faster. It's just that today some of my patients were total care, so patients who cannot really do things for themselves. So I was changing a lot of patients, giving G-tube feedings, which could take longer than usual to give medications. Y'all don't mind me. The reason why I'm like this is because my charge nurse just told me that one of my patients is getting transferred to a different unit. And this is one of my patients that I actually love. This is such a pleasant patient, very funny patient. And it's one of the patients I was actually done charting with earlier. One of those two patients I finished charting on before I gave meds? This was one. And imagine, now that means I have to call report and send them away and get another admission, But anywho, it happens, but duty calls. It's still a great night because out of this whole night, I only had one transfer, so I kept most of my patients for the rest of the night. Some nights you can have like 3 transfers or maybe like 1 discharge, 2 transfers, and 3 admissions. And yeah, I'm still grateful. So after calling the report, making sure transport is called to get my patients transferred to the other unit, I'm going to start charting on the rest of my other patients. If they let me. Oh God, y'all, the call bell was just going off in this time. So the time is approximately 11:50 p.m. and I'm officially done charting for the most part. We still have some little charting to do later on at 4 a.m. and 12 a.m., but those are quick. But the main charting is done, and now it's time for me to go ahead and give my 12 a.m. medications. So around this time, some patients don't like to be bothered. So I don't want to be in patient's room like having the light on for a long period of time. So I like to just hang my IV bags from doing IV bags outside the room and then take it in. Just so all I have to do is hook it up to the patient and start and scan the medication. So at about 12:45 a.m., I'm finally going to start doing my telemetry readings, checking my patients' alarms and printing out the strips, plotting the strips, and then signing them off and putting it in their charts. So after I'm done, I'm gonna go get ready for my new patient coming in. I found out that the room was clean now, so I just have to get my admission basket ready for my patient. So when they get here, it's already in their room, ready to go. After doing this, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in my patient's room and wait till they bring them up from the ED. And right now I'm just taking a quick little break because one of my coworkers brought some snacks for us, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start giving my 2 a.m. medication, even though it's not 2 a.m. yet. And I'm glad I did that because my admission finally came at 2 a.m. and instead of giving out meds at 2 a.m. I had time to go ahead and start my admission, and now I'm finally taking my break at 2:30. I normally like to take my break around 2 a.m., but because of the admission, I had to take it later on. And during my break time, I just relax, unwind, and eat some food. So right now, I'm just documenting a new patient that came in right before I went on break. And I'm going to go ahead and continue charting, doing something called the IPOCs. They're like care plans we do for each patient as well. So after I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and update my sheet with my 4 a.m. lab draws. I like to write them out like this so that I know what kind of tubes to put into the bag and bring to the patient's room for their 4 a.m. lab draws. Right now it's almost 4 a.m. and I'm gonna go make my little lab draw baggies, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the things that I need in there to draw some blood from them and the color of tubes I need for each patient. So after I'm done getting this ready, I go ahead and quickly do my 4 a.m. telemetry monitoring and then start drawing blood. So it's really good to get a head start on this because drawing patients' blood can vary from patient to patient, and it could take you like 5 minutes to draw some patient blood because they have good veins, and the other one like 30 minutes because their heart's thick. Normally 4 a.m. telemetry, monitoring, and documentation go by pretty quick because you're just checking for new changes. But today, one of my patients' alarm was going off and they had a really bad rhythm. So the first thing I had to do was I had to go check on my patient. Then I had to go page the doctor. The doctor ended up ordering an EKG for a more in-depth look. Then she added on more lab draws for the patient and then had to order a medication to help get their rhythm back on track. So I kind of lost track of time after that whole thing, and I kind of didn't record as much, but all I did next was I went ahead to go draw the rest of my other patients' 4 a.m. labs, and I went ahead to go give them their 6 a.m. medication. Because I was kind of behind, I kind of grouped the care whereby I drew their blood and gave them their meds. You can always give meds an hour before the time is due, so between 5 and 6, that's what I pretty much was doing. And I finished up with some last minute stuff like replacing things that need to get replaced. Then I had to bladder scan and straight cath one of my patients who didn't pee all night. And I had to put a new IV in one of my patients whose IV got infiltrated and needed fluids. So the time is about 6:39 a.m. and this is a great day because sometimes you can be working till the clock, things go crazy, but this was a good morning. And what I'm doing right now, I'm updating the report sheet you saw earlier, and I try to do this throughout the night, but sometimes in the morning you might need to add some last minute stuff. For example, like my patient who didn't pee all night and I had to bladder scan and straight cath. Just talking about how much residuals and stuff like that, writing that down, or my 2 patients whose IV stopped working and I had to change the IV. One pulled theirs out, the other one just infiltrated. So, just updating the new sites of the IV, stuff like that was what I'm doing right now. And yeah. So I'm finally done, guys, and I'm so happy. I'm gonna give a report to the nurses when they get here and take my butt home to sleep. So that concludes this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I have so much more coming up. So much more nursing content will be added to my channel. And make sure you leave a comment down below about any questions you have and drop a like if you found this really helpful. Thank you guys again and see you on my next video. Bye.